They printed the best counterspell that they've printed in years.
It's already a card.
No, it's not. That card is not a card.
New?
What?
That's your fault. You didn't tell me it was a new card. That's on you.
It's creepy.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Welcome to Made the Zoo be with you, everybody. Hopefully you're having yourself a great day. I'm joined by this podcast's Travis Kelsey. His wife's name is Taylor Swift. Josh from Hometown TCG.
I told you I didn't keep the mustache. I am not this podcast, Travis Kelsey. I'm not worthy of that title without this sweet, sweet stash. I look more like an undercover cop.
To just a stash for a while, and I was like, nah, that's too much work.
But mine is blonde, right? So it's bad.
Yeah.
I look like an undercover cop that is just the grossest person. Yeah, it's the grossest look.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
And I am joined by the man
you're gonna finish doing the intro.
with the goatee, the backwards hat, and all of the Magic the Gathering takes that you are here for to last more than 30 seconds. Louis DeGeorge.
What is up? All right, we don't have George here, everybody. Let's just get that awkwardness out of the way. George is gone again. We will miss him until he shows his beautiful face again. But we're also excited to have a dialogue without a lot of interruptions. So
I almost brought a bottle of champagne to pop, but I was like, I don't want to drink a bottle of champagne.
This will be people's favorite episode in the last 6 weeks, and it will be people's least favorite episode of the last 6 weeks.
The community is divided. You guys need to get together on this. The community is... Yes, you either love George or you hate George. You need to Switzerland George a little bit here.
It's the 2024 election within May the Zoo be with you. It's the divided.
I don't want. Oh no, please let's not make this a political pod. Anyway, magic. It's the magic. We're talking about magic.
All right, everyone. This is what we're chatting about today. We're going to talk about the murder mystery happening in the Magic the Gathering universe. Murder mystery, Magic the Gathering multiverse. Dang it, I missed the M. The murder mystery happening in the Magic the Gathering multiverse. Look at that alliteration. We're going to talk about Universes Beyond? Question mark? We're going to go into calling the bottom. Is it really time to call the bottom for Magic the Gathering? Is that really happening for Vintage?
We're on your channel, right?
Yes, we're on my channel.
This is the financial advice section.
Oh, yes. We're going to talk, speaking of financial advice, we're going to talk about the winter of sorcery and Josh's data that proves that sorcery is in winter. Speaking of things that hate money, we're going to talk about One Piece and One Piece hating money on OP5. And then we're going to talk about Lorcana's sophomore album not being as good as their first hit. So I guess it's just me on the podcast now as I go into the topics.
Buddy.
Welcome back, Josh. All right.
You wish, buddy.
Murders at Karlov Manor. We are knee deep in spoiler season. What are your thoughts so far on this beautiful, wonderful new set?
You remember when you were younger and you'd play Pokemon and you'd always hear the excuse, I like when they play these games with their friends. It helps them learn to read. There's so much text on these cards. You have to have a degree to if you're not a college graduate, this set might not be for you. This set might not be for me. I have no degree post high school. I might just be screwed. Holy wall of text.
I vastly agree with you on this one.
It's crazy. There's so much text on Magic cards now. Where are my bears?
No, let me pull George. No, I love the text. Let's read a book.
I'm not saying the effects aren't fun. Listen, Fable the Mirror Breaker's got a ton of text on it too. Still a fun card to play, but man, even the lands, dude. Lands.
Yeah, this one's it does seem a little bit text heavy. My favorite card from the set, I'm gonna get right into it, is A Killer Among Us, which is a book. And you hate this card. I want to start off with some. I don't want to.
Yeah, because you don't play Magic. You play Commander, so of course you love this card.
A Killer Among Us, which has. I'll summarize it. You create.
Nobody. We've got 20 minutes in this section. Read the dang card.
When a killer, it's an enchantment, 5 costs, green for those of you listening. Shout out to the listeners on Spotify. When a Killer Among Us enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white human creature token, a 1/1 blue merfolk creature token, and a 1/1 red goblin creature token. Then secretly choose a human merfolk or goblin. it doesn't stop there. We're halfway through the book. Then you can sacrifice the enchantment, reveal the chosen creature type. If attacking creature token is the chosen type, put 3 1/1 counters on it, and it gains death touch until the end of turn. Listen, okay. Why do you hate this? Because I want to talk about why I like it.
It's so bad. Like, first of all, it's a 5-drop. Second of all, it's unnecessarily complicated. The amount of fun that this card creates does not in any way correlate to the amount of pain in the keister it is to play and secretly select something that nobody can see and make sure I don't secretly switch my select. Oh, it's so frustrating. The only good thing about this, super fun to see how this resolves on MTGO and Arena. Super excited.
It'd be way easy to do that.
Yeah.
That would be way easier.
That core logic is not coded into the effects of these cards right now. That's going to take a little bit of work. It won't be a ton.
I'm sure they will do that.
Oh,
I'm sure it'll be like a little button you select, and then when you can reveal it. That's like the hard part is how are you going to do this at the table at pre-release when somebody doesn't know what the card does? They're going to write it on their hand.
Well, I'm pantomiming having my notebook. If you're a real Magic player, you write all your life totals down. You don't let dice handle it, because then you get a Mark Justice situation.
I disagree with you on this. I think it's a lot of fun. I think that it will. I don't think this card's going to see any play. First of all, this is not a. You said it. This card is too high cost. Trash. Even probably too high cost for Commander, to be honest with you. But in a limited environment, and in maybe the Commander precons, if it's in one of those, I think it creates a really cool, fun experience that like can create a memorable draft experience for this. This is a cool draft card, right? Like you have some sort of removal on it. Like, I don't know. I think it's cool.
What happened to the days where just playing Magic cards with your friends created a fun and memorable experience? You don't have to write down citizen on it.
This is at least creative. Like it's at least creative design.
We had the biggest innovation fight of all time, and you refuse to say Wizards of the Coast was innovative. This is your line for innovation.
Yeah, this is innovative. This is creative gameplay.
Wild, unhinged.
I know. It's my favorite card though. It's my favorite card of this current release.
How many stickers are you going to put on this card when you cast it?
I hate the sticker thing.
It's innovation. It's such fun play patterns. I get to stick things.
Let's talk about the thing people actually want to talk about: the dual lands.
What are these? What did you call them? The swamp lands?
They're dual lands. I called them swamp lands when we were chatting in our DMs.
The worst name. There's such a better name for them.
I mean, the Swamplands is obviously terrible because that's just a black mana.
They're the Diglands.
The Diglands? That's what you're going for?
Yeah.
The Diglets?
So really, you get to dig the top of your deck.
It's pretty cool. All right. I'm not a modern player. I don't play really 4-on-4 or 40 card, 60 card formats. Why are these going to
give me strength?
Or why are they not? Are they too slow?
They'll see play in standard. There's a reanimation card in standard that's like, look at the top, so over many, or into your graveyard, put so many into your graveyard, then you can return a creature card from your graveyard to play. There's a couple reanimator cards that are standard viable. I wonder if this opens up, a slot and maybe powers up a reanimator strategy for something like that. I don't think we see anything. Maybe niche Archon strategies, Archon or something in modern, but you want to do so many other things turn one. You got Thoughtseize, you got even your Goryo's Vengeance decks. If you're going to turn 2 Goryos, you're either not dropping a land and discarding the hand size turn 1, or you're Thoughtseizing yourself into a Goryo's or something like that.
Right.
So I don't know, man. So standard for sure. Pioneer maybe. You could tell me the deck, the Greasefang deck, doesn't really do too much turn 1. You could tell me Greasefang and Pioneer finds a home for some of these, but
so not really, other than standard. These are going to be great. Here and there. These are going to be great in 50% of these are going to be great in C play in Commander.
Yeah, these are big Commander cards, right? Yeah. Like if you're playing any kind of graveyard strategy in Commander, you don't mind the tap land aspect, but you love Surveil 1.
Yeah. Anything that has the green and black on it, and a little bit of even like the a little of the blue with like self mill and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
This is going to be a card that will slot in instead of one of your basic lands. I think the ones that are going to struggle are like, you know, your Boros color, your Izzet color, that kind of stuff. That's just not gonna. I think this would be one of the interesting lands where you'll see some of them are $3 or $4 and some of them are like 20 cents, right? Like there's just completely.
Is it could
useless.
be. I mean, you got things like Treasure Cruise and Dig Through Time and things like that, and also was it Mizzix Mastery, trying to cast 1 million cards. So you could tell me, is it the only benefit? Because I'm just trying to play devil's advocate, right? You got the Boros land. Your only benefit is like, make sure I don't draw another land because I'm Boros. I have 2. What do I need with a third one? Like, what is this?
It's definitely too slow for Boros too, but
yeah, if it feels like it could be that way.
Yeah. But anyway, I think these actually are going to be fun pulls for people. Like, I think anytime you have a new dual land in a set, it is a exciting thing to pull it and to get it into whatever. And I don't know if they'll see like enough play to be worth much, but off the rip, I think there'll be cool things for people, which is exciting for the set. I also read that you can connect somehow all of the lines on the artwork, the shimmering thing, that gold thing connects and it tells some sort of story. It was over my head. I tried to look at it. It was like 2 a.m. I was in bed, like I woke up to pee and I got on Reddit for some reason.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Yeah, anyway, that's kind of cool that they included something like that on these.
We have the Scryland cycle, right? We have the temples already. Yeah. And I mean, the temples see little to no play. This is arguably a better temple, right? Because Surveil probably better than Scry, has a little more application. You normally don't care if something's in the graveyard. So it's a slightly better Scryland.
The Scrylands though saw play until they just got like outdone, or they got out like they were seeing some commander interest in that kind of stuff until like now there's just way better things to put in your deck.
Well, those lands came right before Pathways, wasn't it?
It was Theros Beyond Death.
I think they came right before Pathways and Zendikar, and Pathway was like, it fixes a little better. You don't have to take a turn off. Right. But they saw a ton of play in Standard when they were viable.
Are those fetchable?
No.
See, that's the big thing with these.
Like here, they are fetchable. They 100% are fetchable. Like, and maybe that pushes them over the edge. Maybe that's the.
I mean, so I have a Lands Matter deck, and these would not fall into that deck.
No, these lands would not matter in that situation.
It's just too high power. But one of the things I often run into in that deck is running out of lands to fetch for. Like, that's something that I have to balance in like because there's a ton of like it's all land matter.
Yeah.
Like, there's a ton of important lands in the deck, and so like I have to make sure there's enough forest and plains or whatever there in the deck to fetch for. And so like this solves some of that problem for some other decks. But anyway,
sure, that's true. You know them. Yeah, I don't know, man. I still don't see it in things like Modern. Again, you could convince me if Pioneer being fetchable doesn't necessarily matter because RIP fetch lands. Right. But I could see Standard. Yeah. And listen, everything like this to me just screams Commander. Like, I feel like I'd put these in every Commander deck.
Yeah, these are so good these are so exciting for new lands. I started asking this question, what else can they put on a land that they haven't done? Right? Like you could start predicting what the next fetchable dual land will be in 3 years, right? Like what are they gonna what kind of ETB effect will they put on them? I think that's kind of fun. I'm
trying to see if I have it. I have the land from Ixalan, Sunken Citadel. That land, it's essentially just a land that taps for 2 mana. It's an ancient tomb. As long as you're activating the abilities of other lands, probably great in your lands mana deck. Yeah.
All right, last one we were going to talk about was the I thought I had it up. Oh yeah, the special guest slot.
Wait, that is not the last one we were talking about. They are reprinting Assassin's Trophy.
Why? Okay, why does that matter?
What do you mean? Assassin's Trophy's incredible removal. Right. It targets a permanent.
Okay, but why is it?
It's now in Standard.
But it was in Standard in Guilds of Ravnica,
which has not been in Standard for some time.
I guess
Like,
has it been that
this
long?
card's a house. This card's so good. And
So
they
we're
also casually printed the best counterspell in a year in this set.
Which is what?
No More Lies. Counter it unless it pays 3. It's Mana Leak, which, by the way, we couldn't reprint into standard because it's too powerful. But it is Mana Leak, and the spell that you counter doesn't go to the graveyard; it goes to exile. What do you mean?
Better.
Yeah, this card's going in Commander decks too. There,
I don't
I only
understand
play
the
Commander,
hype
buddy.
about Assassin's Trophy. I guess from a Commander perspective, like Assassin's Trophy, I'm not sure. Like I feel like it needs a reprint. I don't know. This goes
So
back
in your Lance Matter deck, when you've got a land that's just gumming up the whole game, guess what gets rid of it?
I know Assassin's Trophy is a great card. My point is like, I guess it's just good that it's in standard now. That like it's already in Pioneer, it's already in Modern, it's already in Commander. It's like a $3 card. Why does it need? Why do we need it again?
Because it's fun to play with.
Okay,
it's fun to not have to sit there and not be able to answer your opponent's stuff. It makes Magic more fun. I know you only like Commander and you would rather turn around and write something down on a piece of paper than play the card, but you could play this card and just like have memorable moments and fun.
I love
it's crazy.
Trophy. I just
it's crazy, dude. You could like cast this card and get like fun. You know what you could do? You could cast this card on one of your opponent's dig lands. Oh, now you've had so much fun.
Now they've
really enhanced your fun.
In their graveyard.
You've really enhanced, and now you're drawing in the lock counters for 2, turn 1. Oh.
There you go. It's pretty good. All right, the special guest slot. I think it's a little lackluster.
Hate about that. You didn't want to talk. You're like, oh, George is here. We talk about spoilers. You didn't talk about the removal spell with text on it that doesn't matter. The spell that can't be countered, even though it targets a creature or planeswalker with 3 mana cost or less.
I don't even know what card you're talking about.
Never mind. Special guess.
Special guess.
I'm in.
I feel like they're a little lackluster. No? I mean, compare
These
this
cards are so sweet.
Compare this to Lost Caverns of Ixalan.
I try not to compare anything to Lost Caverns of Ixalan. That set was so good.
We had it was Mana Crypt, right? Mana Crypt?
Yeah.
What else was in that slot?
The Merfolk that was
Tashendi's Tidebender? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I thought the Merfolk Lord was in that spot.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about now, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
And yeah, this might be less.
Thrasios? Yeah.
I have no idea if that's the name. Let me be clear. I have no idea if that was the name of that card. This is cool.
Show and Tell and Field of the Dead are both $20 cards, so that's cool. I can't believe how expensive Field of the Dead got.
Especially because it's like banned and everything.
Not Commander. Shout out to Commander. That one's in my Land Matters deck. That
makes sense.
That card's a powerhouse, dude.
It's very apparent why that card's banned and everything.
Yeah, that card is a powerhouse. That was wasn't that in a Modern deck for a while?
Oh yeah. That's very good. Drown in the Lock, sneaky cool card. Sneaky good card. This art is also awesome.
Yeah, all the art is super cool on them.
Drown in the Lock has no value.
It just got like a huge print in the Magic 30 promos too, which was like a really cool version of it. It's like a retro frame version.
I was on TCG Player and I was buying something for someone. And have you ever been to that point where you're $1 off shipping? You can pay $1 for shipping, or you can shop at their store and find $1 card.
Right.
And I found a promo Drown in the Lock, and it was like less than $1, so I added it to the cart. It was awesome.
That thing's beautiful.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Show and Tell is like a $20 card that's only seen a reprint in Conspiracy Take the Crown. And so like that's a good reprint card that was probably needed. Field of the Dead again, like it was getting pretty expensive. I just feel like there's not the Mana Crypt yet. Do you think we get something like that added this week or next week when we get the rest of the spoilers? I think there's 30 cards that are supposed to be in the special guest slot now.
I was going to put you on the spot. What's the number of cards? Is it 30? I thought it was less.
I only say 30 because at the bottom it says the ones we have in front of us are M0019 of special guests, and it goes all the way up to M0028. So I just assumed that is the special guest slot goes up to that they are showing us cards 19 through 20 of the special guest slot.
Yeah, it goes up to some number. If they're hoping that this slot carries value, like if the goal is for this slot to carry value in the product, then we're gonna have to see something else, right? If this is their entry into the secondary market that isn't what is it, Secret Lair, then yeah, it's gonna have to contain more because remember the whole point of this is like it's supposed to be reprint cards, but it's also supposed to be playable in your draft, right?
Right.
Like these are super fun cards playable in your draft, and nothing that I'm seeing right now is like, oh, if you just draft that, you win.
Right.
Like it seems fine.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it feels good. Tireless Tracker, God, some of these cards are just so much fun. Tireless Tracker, that card is a grindy house. Sick. Yeah, it's a grindy house too.
Yeah. Crashing Football is another great card. I don't know. I think they need more of it. I think that this is supposed to be the slot that like carries the value, and that makes me worried about like usually from a store perspective, right? When Mana Crypt was spoiled.
Yeah.
I bet you 80% of my pre-orders happened that week. Right? Like Mana Crypt got spoiled. 80% of the people came and said, "Hey, I want to buy a box." Like that's why. Because a card like Mana Crypt was punted in here. And like that's what this needs to like make it up. So anyway, I think the cards are cool. Like Field of the Dead, Show and Tell, Tragic Slip is awesome artwork, really cool, but like it needs a little bit more oomph.
I mean, it's important to note, like we have they might be meant to carry the value of the set, but and this is where everyone constantly boos me, but like give Wizards of the Coast some credit. They're cards designed for the set. I mean, just looking at Lost Caverns of Ixalan, not special guest set cards, just cards designed for that set, and their standard versions are selling for a ton of money.
Yeah,
like
the new ones.
Like Wilds of Eldraine was very similar, where cards in Wilds of Eldraine did very well. Phyrexia All Be One, we were talking about, we planned to talk about some of the Planeswalkers I had a stack here. That's another set where like just the cards in the set designed for the set are selling really well. So a balance is needed, and if they can achieve close to this balance, I think you're in a good spot. If you're only buying for the special guest slot, I think you're in for a lot of pain and regret.
Yeah, that's a great point on like creating reprint equity, right? Where they are creating new valuable cards. They have been doing great on that. I'm not sure we've seen I'm not sure we've seen anything like Lost Caverns had the Ojapek, it's the god that's the white colors.
Ojur Tak, something like that.
It's a token tripler, so it's anointed procession, but 3 instead of 2, and like
it's really good.
And like that card again, like was huge. Like it came out, everybody knew it was good. I haven't seen anything yet in this set that has that kind of legs. But what do you think about the showcase? Have we talked about this?
We did talk about the showcase.
I don't remember your take.
The one where hold on. We're in the variant era. Which showcase?
The one on Mythic Spoiler. Oh, I guess they both say showcase. The folio. The white ones.
I'm on Mythic Spoiler. I don't see
the white one. The ones that look
it's like the scroll. It's the docket.
Yeah,
it looks like the folder. No, those are awful. Those are the worst.
I can't even read the cards. I was trying to look at spoilers last night. I was looking at them. I was like, I can't read this right now. Like it hurts your eyes. I hate them so much.
And like it's like just off center enough to make you think it's an error, not like an artistic choice. No, it's the worst. Awful. I see them now. It looks like. Are you in any of the misprint groups?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like the misprint and the oddities group. Like that's what it looks like. Every card looks like a misprint.
Yep. They're awful.
Yeah. But
and the art doesn't even like look special. The other ones are great. I agree with you.
There you go. The Spyglass. Spyglass one. That treatment is dope. The all, you know what throws me off is the all black around that card not being the perfect frame. It like sucks in on the Spyglass view there.
Yeah.
It's like it looks weird. It looks like part of the art is missing.
You know what would be amazing on these is they took the Streets of New Capenna gilded foiling and put it on that Spyglass. Can you imagine how freaking cool looking that would be?
I have so many gilded foil charms. I'm never out of arm's reach. So if you want to talk gilded foils,
I do like gilded foils.
They're never out of reach for me. Wherever I'm sitting in my office, there's a stack I can reach to.
All right, my last take on this.
Mm.
That's not good. Streets of New Capenna. This set reminds me of Streets of New Capenna.
That's not good. That's the worst performing set in like
Ever.
a long time.
Yeah. The only thing it has going for it is like it's got serialized cards. Streets didn't. It has the, you know,
But
it has
serialized cards are in the crappy treatment, aren't they? Aren't they in the docket for the docket treatment?
I think they're in all sorts of
Oh, no, wait, are they in the they're in the
hold on.
Ravnica City
Yeah. Oh,
treatment?
sorry.
Or whatever
The
that is.
third. They're in the third treatment, the third
Yeah.
showcase, which is the Ravnica City, and they're only of 250, so they're way harder to get. This also has the the blacklight ones. Remember, which is
Oh no,
really
that's the worst. Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, yeah.
But the set seems so thematic, but underpowered to me, and that's how Streets of New Capenna was. It was
but
like,
buddy,
so
you wanted
thematic.
the thematic and leaning into the story, and that's what it feels like they're doing here.
Yeah, but the power level's just not there.
Oh my god, I can't. It's always something.
I mean, Assassin's Trophy's in it, but you know.
And the best counterspell they've printed in years. The counterspell that was too powerful.
see.
Granted, it's not a colorless in a blue. It is white blue. So
It's still early. It's still early in reveal season. There could be more. The commander decks look really cool.
I've been playing a lot of standard recently. I'm ashamed to admit it. Not in person, digitally. Actually, big shout out the NRG series. They do free standard nights around me, and I just bought a standard deck to be shipped. I spent $220 on cards for a standard deck.
Wow.
Just so my wife can tell me that we're too busy for me to go play standard on a Tuesday night, which makes she's right. But I'm going to sit there and be like, I'm so hopeful. But
maybe I'll get to play. We've been running on Thursdays. We run into the same thing. A lot of people like they already come on Fridays, they already come on Mondays, and like the third day is just too hard. What did they just announce though for there's a really good card that just got announced on the store championship promo. Hold on, I put it in our store Discord.
Oh no, I didn't catch that.
Void Walker, Void.
Oh, Dothy Void. That's right.
Yeah.
I did see that.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. What's that card do?
Nobody. I don't know. Of course I don't know. I don't. That's not played. But
It's a modern card.
Yeah.
Textless cards work when they're this simple.
Yeah.
When they're simple cards, they work.
The thing
I don't know.
Though, of all the textless cards that have ever been store championship promos, that one is the coolest one. It's
cool looking.
Coolest looking one.
People ostracized Cryptic Command for being having a textless variant where people are like, this has the more text on it than I've ever seen on a Magic card. Yeah. How is anyone going to know this?
That's back when that's back when people cared though. Now they're like, yeah, you can play with your box, your cereal box secret layer card.
Yeah, you got your phone on you anyway, so you can look up. The final take I want to give on this set is somebody, and I don't know if this was Jake and Joel or Magic, shout out to them, but it was someone on Twitter and it wasn't me. And they pointed out this is the first time where it feels like this set was designed to replace the last set. Like we would have lost Depopulate, the board wipe, and then we get No Witnesses, which is a board wipe, which instead of letting the player with the highest or 4 or more draw a card, the person with the most creatures investigate. So they make a clue token, right? It feels like, we got the dual lands after we would have been losing a land cycle. It feels like this was supposed to be part of that old school rotation, and it didn't. And I thought that was really interesting. So I want to shout out again, whoever said that on Twitter. I should have done my research.
Almost like they're putting more effort into standard. Is that the point?
No, well, the point is they designed this set and then they designed the set under the old standard rotation policy. Then they changed the standard rotation policy, and this set now is going to present some weirdness to where like two sets that were never supposed to exist side by side in standard for a short period may exist. And that's just a theory, right?
That's cool.
But it's something interesting. You see a lot of facsimile cards like that would have moved out moving in.
That's cool. Interesting. All right, let's move on to Universes Beyond ? So you brought up a good point today that it's been quite a while since we had Universes Beyond.
November 3rd.
Which was what? Doctor Who?
Lord of the Rings special edition. So it was like
Oh, yeah. So that
Universes
that's
Beyond
reprint.
Extended. Yeah.
And before that was Doctor Who, which was in October, something like that.
I can tell you in a second. I don't have
It
the
would have been
date
right
in front of me.
before that. Yeah, because I remember complaining that it was like 2 releases in a row.
Oh, I remember too.
So but it's been a while, and so your question, I think you asked me, correct me if I'm wrong, was essentially like, do we really need Universes Beyond if it's been this long and the excitement is there? Is that your statement?
What does this say about Universes Beyond? So since the last meaningful Universes Beyond set, Doctor Who, right? We've had Lost Caverns of Ixalan, Ravnica Remastered, which essentially flopped on the secondary market, but you and I both agree was a ton of fun to like participate in, play, and open. And now Murders at Karlov Manor. Just looking at that window of time without Universes Beyond, does it make it more apparent in your eyes that we need Universes Beyond or that we don't? And not Louis' opinion. What do these last 3 sets and the vibe of Magic say to you? We all know your opinion. So you're okay with it.
I just checked your data. I just checked your data to make sure that it matched my take here, and it does.
Isn't that great to be able to have?
Even the last Universes Beyond set, which was Doctor Who, the Lord of the Rings one, it's kind of
like a reprint set. Yeah.
I can't remember the last time I sold a Doctor Who deck in my store. Like, it was huge and your data shows it was huge in October.
It's massive.
It was kind of big in November. Like it was a little bit. It
did the same thing that all trading card games, especially Magic, do. Yeah.
It has become completely non-existent since release. And like Lord of the Rings is the opposite. When I restock Lord of the Rings decks, they sell. They're like, oh, finally you got this one in stock. Warhammer too, to some degree, probably has died off now. It's been 2 years since Warhammer. Like it's like now it's like kind of lesser. But like the attitude that every Universes Beyond product is going to be like a massive success, I think is wrong. And I think like what happened with Doctor Who, and I think we talked about this, is like people just said, all right, I don't need the product. I'll just buy the single card that's really cool. I don't care about Doctor Who, but I really love Magic and I really love that mechanic. And I'll buy that card because of that mechanic.
Well, just to push back on that specific example, it sold more boxes total than the most popular standard set, Lost Caverns of Ixalan of the year, right? And Lost Caverns of Ixalan, we agree. And if you don't agree with this, you're just hating on Magic, I think. It was a great set. Lost Caverns of Ixalan, great set. Doctor Who sold more boxes between collector and commander decks than Lost Caverns of Ixalan sold. Right? And so even like a Universes Beyond set that felt kind of meh, it clearly must be a win for people either outside of our circles or in outside circles looking in or something. Someone's buying these products as well as the singles. You're right. I think the singles, especially for this one, flew. But like that just kind of goes to show if every Universes Beyond set goes at least to a baseline of something, Wizards of the Coast is going to keep doing it. And it feels like it's almost a necessary evil at this point. If we live in the world where we have to have 10 releases a year because we can't stop Wizards from doing that, right? We got to have something in there that shakes it up. It feels like maybe that's just it.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I agree with you that Universes Beyond has been largely successful.
Way more than I thought it would be.
The power level of the cards has also been able to be pushed so high. Yeah, like
because it's just for Commander most of the time, right? Like
for Universes Beyond, for Doctor Who, they didn't have to worry about anything. They were just like, let's print something that's stupid. It's Commander, right? Like, and like for Lost Caverns, like they have to refine it down to that it's modern legal, it's standard legal,
playable,
it's draft, it's you have to refine it to a core. And like this is what's wild. Like I think like Fallout, right? Like Fallout's the next set that comes out in March. Like Doctor Who, from my opinion, had a small following compared to something like Fallout which has a small following compared to Lord of the Rings. Like Fallout is going to be such a massive sales compared to Doctor Who, in my opinion. Like I
You know
can
who else
already
thinks
tell
so?
you on my website, I have more pre-orders for Fallout than any other set ever in Magic history. Now, granted, I did not do pre-orders for Lord of the Rings because I didn't know how allocated it was going to be. It was like the first time that that kind of set had come out.
Right.
But like the pre-orders are wild for Fallout. Like it just never stops.
I don't want to give too much credit because every time we talk about Fallout, I always want to call back and talk about the most important thing to me.
What?
That you've been able to pre-order Fallout through Wizards of the Coast on Amazon for freaking months now when you couldn't pre-order it at your local game store.
Yeah.
That irritates me.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm normally very open to like, listen, it's 2024. You can buy Magic products on Amazon. I'm open to that. You could pre-order this. I made a video about it like December 2nd.
The day they announced it, or the day they did the view, they put it on Amazon, and it was it was like basically distro. Now the prices now are lower on my website. I'm charging less than Amazon is for this stuff now.
Yeah.
But the initial
that's a proper use of Amazon, right?
Right. This is why MSRP needs to exist.
If they sell, even if they don't reinstate MSRP and they just behind the scenes sell at MSRP, I'm not mad that they sell product on Amazon. I'm not even upset about it because you get to undercut them. That's your right. You get to do that.
It's when they come in and they undercut distros. And I don't understand why distros, I guess distros have no options either. Just like stores, distros have this is how big Magic is. Distros have zero skin in the game. They have zero.
What are you going to do? Not carry Magic?
Yeah. Like Magic's just like, what are you going to do without me? You're going to just sell Pokemon. That's the only other game that matters. And like right now, no one's going to buy Pokemon. So like,
so once a year, you'll sell some Pokemon. It'll be crazy.
So I don't know, man. Like, yeah, that was wild. I remember being super pissed about that.
Yeah, I don't like to talk about Fallout without, and I don't mean to sidetrack us too much without bringing it up because it pissed me off a lot. Like I was like, this is ridiculous. I can't even, as someone who I'm ingrained in the community, I know Magic, I know to support the LGS. I can't. There's not an option. No LGS December 2nd was legitimately taking Fallout pre-orders.
No, because we still don't have an allocation for it. Like I still don't know. I'm still very lightly supplying my website and stuff with product because I don't know how much I'm going to get.
Right.
It seems like that supply is going to be large based on what they did with Amazon. They did the same thing with Ravnica remastered draft boxes. They put draft boxes up on Amazon for like $14
for a day. Yeah, not even. It was like an hour and a half.
Yeah, but like I know,
I legitimately think that was a mistake.
I know stores who ordered it on Amazon and just didn't order it from distro.
Yeah,
because it was less priced on Amazon. So like,
I legitimately think that was a mistake.
Yeah,
like because like that. When it comes out that low, that quickly, it's like, that feels like a mistake. No, it's for anyone who says that anyone on this podcast shills Wizards, like it's stuff like this that's just like evil and bad. Don't do this.
Back to your initial dialogue and question. I do think Universes Beyond is going to outclass Magic sets in the next 2 years. Like I think 2026 probably. I think we'll see more Universes Beyond sets than non-Universes Beyond.
As far as like number of releases per year,
it's just working too well. Like it's just like, and it like this is coming from like comment section. Don't get mad at me. I don't like Universes Beyond. We've talked about this. I don't like it. I don't want to play with Spider-Man in Magic the Gathering. I don't like it.
You just said I'm okay with it. You go.
No,
you're like I'm okay with it. I've accepted it.
I have like, but I just want like this is going to be something that's going to happen. We're going to get 12 releases a year. 6 of them are going to be Universes Beyond. 6 of them are going to be Magic.
Well, that's not outclassing it. You'd have to have a 7-5 split.
Then we're going to go 8-4. And then you're going to get, what did the professor do a video that's like Universes Within, where it's like they just put the cards into a set that's like Magic themed. Like I don't see the point for them to do that. Like they're selling super well and they've already crossed the bridge. Like it's Weiss Schwartz now. Like just do it. Like now that's what it is.
So you think Universes Beyond leaks into standard?
Oh yeah.
So my theory is that this replaces Commander products entirely. This every set that's made for Commander in the future is nothing but a Universes Beyond set, aside from the rare occasion where we get something like a Commander Masters,
So
where that's meant to be.
That's already kind of here, isn't it? We don't have non-set themed commander decks.
No, but like March of the Machine, the Aftermath was like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge commander set. Dominaria Remastered and Ravnica Remastered are like wink, wink, nudge, nudge commander products. You know, Lord of the Rings was directly into Modern, and it was kind of like that's a Universes Beyond, but like these are all essentially commander products. I could see
every product is a commander product.
They've since joining the Magic YouTubes a year ago, a little more than a year ago now, they've done a much better job with standard products, not just being, hey, look, it's Commander, and I guess there's another card in here.
Yeah,
like they've done a good job with that.
Maybe
for standard releases.
Anyway, I go back to this idea that we're just going to see way more of it. It's just the way it is. It is.
Yeah, I struggle thinking like it would outclass the number of sets would pass it, but maybe
You know what though? The excitement for Lost Caverns of Ixalan decks in my store, anyway, way more than Doctor Who. Like Lost Caverns, way more excitement than Doctor Who.
Yeah, I think that's with a community that's going to the local game store and playing Magic multiple times a week.
That I guess that makes sense, right? Like they already are in the Magic ecosystem.
Yeah, you're ingrained. You're deep in there. This is the benefit of your Universes Beyond is like the people not only on the fringe, but maybe you got some other interests, and it pulls you either in or back in. You know,
right? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to answer your question exactly. I just think we're going to see more of it.
It's just been a weird time with somebody who everything was so Universes Beyond focused to have it out of focus for this long has felt like I'm like there's a disturbance in the force, like something is not normal.
Yeah,
that was all the second half of December when we didn't have a release. I was like,
well, they doubled up on Lord of the Rings. Well, dude, it's about to change with Fallout. All we're going to hear about is Fallout.
That's
That's all.
How many Fallout videos you making,
dude? I want to stream playing Fallout. Like, I want to.
No, I told you I'm taking that. You stream playing the other one. You're playing the boring one.
Final Fantasy. That's all people are gonna care about for a while.
Yeah.
Like that's gonna be huge.
Right.
Because you know what? Like the Lord of the Rings had a lot of crossover. Obviously, everybody likes Lord of the Rings. But like there's a nerdy culture. Like the only thing more attached to Magic the Gathering nerdom that you could have done would have been Skyrim. If you did a Skyrim crossover, it would have hit more people than this. What?
Lord of the Rings is going to cover a bigger
than Lord of the Rings.
Okay, I thought you. Okay, that's fine. I missed that. All right,
because everybody likes Lord of the Rings.
Yep.
My wife.
Okay, that's what you said. I got it now.
Yeah.
Whoa! My wife was a doctor. Oh.
But like Fallout is like every person who plays Magic sat in the room and played Fallout. Like I don't know, like they smelled. I don't know. The Fallout smelling nerd is what like I think of.
There's going to be a good amount of crossover. I can agree with you on that. I don't know what's a bigger crossover with Magic. Wow,
I think Marvel will be bigger.
Yeah, that's going to cover a bigger piece.
Same way of Lord of the Rings, which is like everybody likes Marvel, so it doesn't count.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's probably why something like Warhammer worked so well.
Oh yeah.
Every Magic fan grew up in a game store and has seen Warhammer their whole life. They've either tried it or wanted to, like,
right. And then there's the power level too, which is just like even commander players were like, oh, that's amazing. And the Warhammer had a nice fit where it was like Warhammer fits in the Magic environment pretty well. Like it's just like the theme. I don't know, moving out with the guns and stuff, but
you were complaining about the guns then too. It did not fit the theme. That was your big rub.
Now we've got Thunders at Junction something.
That's a Magic the Gathering world set. This was you're like, does not fit in the Magic the Gathering universe. How do you feel about that take now?
Yeah, I was wrong.
It could get so much worse, clearly.
All right. Speaking of me being wrong, are we calling the bottom? Are we agreeing with Rudy? Magic the Gathering is no longer dead. Everything's going to the moon. Is this the bottom for Magic the Gathering?
Is that the conversation? I dropped a serialized card.
I don't know. You want? Oh, speaking of the bottom, serialized. There you go, baby. I sold a serialized card for $50 yesterday.
Didn't you? Yeah, you did. It wasn't a Brothers War card. You asked me if I wanted it, and I was like, no, it's not a Brothers War
How
card.
close are you?
I don't expose that information. I'll do a video on it when I get to a point. I have checkpoints. I'll do a video on it. I'm sorry. Do you want me to rub it?
No, but that's why I've been so miserable on this podcast. But like my back.
I thought you were just missing George. Shout out if you miss George. If you're in the comment section right now and this has been too much actual TCG discussion for you and you miss George, let us know.
We don't have our usual interrupter here. Should we talk about Taylor Swift? Did you see the whole internet's all mad that she was dancing at the football game? Everyone's like, she's ruining football.
No, I saw that they were mad that she was at the game. You know what's got more play than Taylor Swift at that game is Andy Reid's mustache, and deservedly so. The icicles hanging from that guy's face was hilarious.
I don't watch any of the game. Football was already ruined when it started because it's like barely a sport. So, I don't know. All right.
Tell me you've never been athletic without telling me you've never been athletic.
In a 4-hour game of football that you watch on TV, you watch on average. This is statistics. On average, 12 minutes of action.
I got to tell you, your statistics are already off because a game of football doesn't last 4 hours.
That's what the statistic I read was.
Well, then you didn't read a valid statistic, my friend.
Okay, did you watch? What do you think? Rudy basically put out a video. He was like, "Magic's back, baby. Everything's pumping. Everything's going to the moon. We're back." Are we there? Are we?
I didn't catch the video. How directly are you quoting Rudy? Because that doesn't sound like him at all.
It was pretty close. I mean, he was pretty close.
Listen.
He said that we're going to see all-time highs for Wildsville Drain, Lost Caverns, and Ravnica Remastered.
All-time highs in what?
And Lord of the Rings. Just like collector boxes.
In box prices?
Yeah.
You could convince me of that of Lord of the Rings collector box prices. I could see that. I could see something like... Go ahead.
I disagree with that. Lord of the Rings special limited edition is still available at distro.
Oh, I don't mean Lord of the Rings special holiday collector bonus poster. I mean the original Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
The one with the serialized soul ring, which again, price wildly stable. One ring's been pulled for a long time now. Oh, why is that? A serialized version of the most popular card in all of Magic the Gathering?
I still think those cards are too cheap.
You don't have to wait this long into this podcast to get a wonderful take like that. You could just subscribe to my channel because I've been screaming that into the ether for like 6 months now.
I still think that card's too cheap. Those soul rings.
It is. It 100% is.
Indie TCGs have broken me so bad.
Yeah, me too.
Like I
see
happiness. $1,200. I think the one of 900 soul rings is like $1,200. I was like, why is it that cheap?
I'll pick that up. I'll buy that.
Why is that cheap? That seems
Magic assets appreciate in value at a normal rate, and next year when it's $1,250, you're gonna be like, oh, what the hell?
Yeah, it just seems so cheap compared to like other things.
Yeah. Yes, I have spent far more on far worse.
I priced out I didn't buy it. He ended up selling it to me. I priced out a all power 9 plus 40 revised dual lands plus some other like stuff. And the prices were pretty low. And as I was pricing out, I was like, there's no shot this guy sells this for like what the price is. Like there's no shot that he pulls the trigger when he sees how low things have gone. And I was right. He didn't pull the trigger. And it was based off of eBay sales, last eBay sales at 70%. Sure. Shout out to me if you want to sell your collections, KitchenTableTCG@gmail.com. But like he didn't go for it because he was essentially like, oh, that's way less than I paid for it.
Sure.
And people don't like this. I think we're getting that point with vintage Magic where people are just like, things are relatively back to where they were even like some stuff's lower than pre-pandemic. Like things are back to there, and you can't say the game hasn't grown in that amount of time. I think Magic in 2019, 2020 grew more rapidly than previous years. Like I think the pandemic jump started things because people didn't have anything to do.
Yep.
And so like I think that there's a huge gap in the attitude of Magic. It's wild to think through, like, what if Magic 30 didn't happen? Like, what if the 30th anniversary stuff just didn't happen? Could you imagine where the market would be right now? And like, eventually we're going to be over Magic 30. Like, eventually the community is just going to, we're going to move on.
I'm a hater just as much as the next real Magic fan when it comes to Magic the Gathering 30th Anniversary Edition. I feel comfortable saying that because George isn't here. Because, like, I don't know, he's not playing Magic. Yeah, well, he's not playing Magic, so he likes it. I don't know that it would be hard for me. And again, maybe this is where I'm wrong. Those two things just live in such a different stratosphere. Real vintage Magic and Magic 30th Anniversary Edition don't even occupy the same space of my brain. So it's hard for me to be like, yeah, this price directly collapsed the price of the other. But you make a good point. When you look at eBay sold listings and you start seeing vintage Magic pieces, actual Magic cards, selling for similar prices as their fake Wizards of the Coast official proxy counterparts, it's like, oh, maybe this did damage like the actual vintage Magic
dude
market.
Okay, so there's like two guys who come in all the time and sell cards to me at the shop.
Sure.
And they're both like older guys that were around Alpha Beta Unlimited. Like that's what they have, right?
Give them my email. What the heck?
No. And both of them always cite Magic 30. They're like, Magic 30 just killed it for me. They just have no respect for the cards. They have no respect for the history. That is like that attitude. And those guys, they aren't playing
that
Commander.
is that community. That is that community.
Yeah, they're not playing Commander. They're not playing Magic anymore. Essentially, they still, when they play like vintage.
Their vintage decks with their 6 buddies. Yeah.
Like that's what they play. They don't even play the rules right. Like they're like, you can't twiddle a time, what is that? Time vault. You can't twiddle it. Like that's not how you play. Like they don't.
They're still putting damage on the stack like the good old days.
Yeah, like they don't. But those are the guys who have these cards.
Yeah,
like so the market keeps going down because that's. And eventually, though, those guys run out of cards, and eventually those guys stop selling cards because they're just like, well, I'm not going to sell it anymore anyway. And I think that's where we are. I think we're at now. I'm not saying I think things are going to go up. Like I don't think there's a catalyst right now.
Boo.
No.
Pump it, baby.
I don't think there's a catalyst that makes vintage Magic cards increase at any speed in the next 2 years. There's
a hot take on that.
Yeah? What's your hot take?
You're not going to like it.
I love it. Let's go.
We've recently seen the leader, the voice, the head of the vintage Magic community have a pretty serious falling out with indie TCG counterparts. You could convince me that those same two guys that were affected by Magic 30th got ticked off when Rudy started loving indie TCGs and had the same opinion, had the same fallout. And as the Taco King relinquishes the hold on indie TCGs and comes back into the fold of Magic, so do his followers. So do those with extra income and 401ks to sell into to buy their Black Lotus Eye.
So here's why I don't think so. Those guys paid $200 for their Black Lotus. They paid
all of them.
They paid $15 for their revised dual lands. They
revised duels weren't even $15 when I was like starting to play Magic, buddy. Like,
yeah, they're older than that.
I know.
My point is, they're not going to buy back into cards at $400. They're not going to buy back into these cards at the inflated
those guys'
price.
income has also gone up quite a bit, and if they feel a nostalgic pull,
they also still have wives now, and they didn't have wives when they were buying the cards. And I really hope that's true. I think a better catalyst for reserveless high-end Magic is the growth of the game, creating people who love Magic the Gathering cards and want to value the history. Magic the Gathering is the oldest trading card game. Old cards should have value because they are old. It's basic economics, old and rare, right? It's basic supply and demand. If you increase the supply, and that can happen, when we have the Marvel set come out, the same thing that happened with Lord of the Rings, right? Where people like it increased the play rates. The question is for me, do new Magic players care about a Gilded Drake, a mana, old Mana Crypt, a revised Dual Land? Do they care about those cards or not? That's the question.
This is where you have to have the ties, and we've talked about it before, and we agree on this. The lacking emotional tie to Magic sets, where Magic probably, and you made a good point about the pandemic, but I would argue even now has more new eyeballs on it on a yearly basis than ever. Between the pump from the pandemic, between whether we agree with them or not, the universe is beyond bringing people in and at least showing up on someone's news feed and being like, oh, Doctor Who's in my algorithm. There's a Magic set for that. Now it's in my brain. Like I've seen it. You have to go. Then you have to take the natural progression, and it's something you and I did. I bet most people listening to this podcast have made this progression. You start playing Magic, then you play your first like game store Magic. Then you play, back then it was Commander. Maybe now you start with Commander, but you play group Magic. Then you go to an event and you do all this and you fall in love and you're, building this relationship with the card game. And somewhere along that path is I saw this guy with this really old, cool collection. Right. How much does an Alpha Mountain cost on TCG Player? Well, now you're hooked and you start making that move into vintage Magic. Right. The problem is if you pop in and out and in and out and in and out, you never care enough to make that emotional progression to where separating yourself from, like you said, $400 becomes like oh, duh, I love this. I would buy this for $400 because this is so important to me. If you don't get there, you'll never have that. If you never have that, now you lose the interest in vintage Magic. And while Magic itself stays healthy, you got a whole sector of people that just, vintage Magic, that's neat. I don't care. I'm just waiting for the next Universes Beyond DuckTales set. Right.
I agree with that. And I think one of the other issues with what you're saying, that transition point, is like the proxy culture of Magic the Gathering now is like, oh, that card's worth $50. There's no shot I'll ever buy that. Boom, putting that in my deck as a proxy.
I think that might be your social circle, because like mine is very proxies. I know that they're controversial. You either love them or hate them. I don't know. I'm one of those people like, hey, if you're gonna play with them, if they're not for me, but I don't care if you play with them. It doesn't bother me at all.
I agree with that's essentially where I have fallen now, right? Because like you can't fall anywhere else in the world. But like the point is that's going to prevent people from then getting into collecting, and I think that's one of the issues. I almost towed the line. I'm not going to go out and say that this is where I am, but like. Ooh. It's kind of like me saying I don't believe in conspiracy theories, but I spend all day on Twitter, right? If they break the reserve list, and if they just printed this stuff as accessible, it would drive additional value to the old stuff. No? Okay.
No. If you break the reserve list, the people that are on the I don't like proxies, so I will save up and buy the real thing train, you lose those, right? You lose all of that money because you can get the new one. And the same people that like, I'll get a new one, or if the new one's $50, I'll proxy the one that's 30 years old, or I'll proxy the one that's 3 months old. It doesn't matter to me. I'm going to proxy it.
Yeah.
I don't think that builds a love. I think what they're doing right now, where cards there are certain Magic cards right now that feel collectible again. And whether you agree with them or like the path to collectability, the community is collecting Magic more than it was 2 years ago. New Magic.
And so then they turn into caring about older stuff.
And as you collect, you collect different things. So I think that's their path, is making Magic something that is a collectible, that's coveted in stages. Right? You can have a collection that's like easy to obtain, and then one that's a little harder. And if they can drive you along those steps, you'll eventually find yourself in vintage Magic. Now, that's a long road. If we have another 2-year, 3-year gap, we're like nothing is worth anything and nobody wants to collect Magic, you lose all the progress you made towards vintage Magic again.
Yeah, and the average Magic player also only lasts 3 years. So like you gotta figure out how to speed up that road a little bit at some point.
But they come back.
Yeah.
They come back. And
they
that's
spend more
that's
when they come
normally what?
They spend more when they come back.
Yeah, isn't that weird? You're like, oh, you hurt me.
Because they feel like they have to catch up.
Here's more of my money.
They feel like they have to catch up. I see this every day. Oh yeah, I see this every day in the shop. People come back and they feel like they have to catch up to like where everybody else is.
Really?
So just blow money. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's wild. All right. Good Magic talks, buddy.
This is not going to be some people's cup of tea. I haven't made fun of your goatee once.
It's fine. It's good. They get to hang out and chat with us. All right. The Winter of Sorcery, your data shows what?
We talked about Sorcery, and we talked about one of the challenges with Sorcery was going to be the continued sale of Sorcery. And it does look like, as far as TCG player goes, Sorcery sales have rapidly slowed.
Tell us what you're looking at. I've got November and December in front of me.
That's right. You're working off that other information.
Do you know about January already? We're halfway through.
Yeah, in January through January at this point there's 183 boxes sold in January.
So we're going from November, for those of us who are listening or can't read the minute font that is on my screen. November 1,500 boxes, December 569 boxes, halfway through January 150 boxes.
Yeah. So it's 183 boxes at this point in January. So
not that much slowed down compared to December, maybe a 25% reduction in sales.
Yes, but here's where my concern comes in, is this product has to last us a long time. I don't want to see 25% reduction month over month, because it's going to get us to a point where it's very slow. So I feel like the question now becomes, and it not an issue right now. Prices are stable. People who want Sorcery, you can get it from, I guess, a certain retailer, but it would be nice if you could get it from your local game store. The question becomes, how do you combat this in the future? How do you, for the next release, because we always look at the next thing to be better, make people engage with a set longer, because that's your long-term goal, right?
Yeah.
So how do you do that? How do you solve some of this slowing sales as early as 2 months post official release?
Sure. I have some caveats to that first.
Sure.
I think there's some reasons that sales, obviously sales slow down. We see this in every other game. We just saw this with Magic month to month, week to week.
Yes.
The problem that you're presenting is, for Sorcery, it's more of a problem because you don't have a new set coming out. I've got that. I've got basically that up. We've got lots of graphs on the screen right now.
It's funnier this way.
The problem you're presenting is other games don't have this as big of a problem because there's another set that comes out within a month or two or whatever.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair for the demand of the game. I think right now some of the data you're seeing, though, some of the other things that are going on in the community. One, there's a rumor, we talked about this last week, that Canada's getting more boxes. So Prince Distribution, there's a big store that's been selling 100 boxes a day in Canada. Again, this store could walk away with your money. I have no clue.
Wait. They're pre-ordering 100 boxes a day?
They've been going through 100 boxes a day. They've been putting up 100 boxes a day on their website. This is secondhand information. This is what I've been told. I trust everybody.
Are you willing to, and I'm putting you on the spot here a little bit, and the answer can fairly be no. Will you tell me
what the name of that store is?
No, how many boxes you, the world's largest Sorcery content creator and game store owner, had? Like, how many boxes did you get? I am not the world's
biggest. Like, I bet you, I almost guarantee you that, what's that store? Oh man, what is that store that had boxes at 120 for a while? They're the Magic store that's always selling stuff super cheap.
Troll and Toad.
No.
MVP.
I did not get the most boxes in America.
No,
from
I didn't. But like, if you're an average, you're okay, fine. We'll call you an average sorcery store in America. I don't think you're an average.
I got very, very few more than the rest of the innkeepers, like 350 boxes or something like that.
Yeah, a store selling 100 boxes a day. That's a big gap. Like, unless they've only been doing it for 2 days.
Yeah, I don't know when they started. I just know like I was told that they are putting up 100 boxes a day from somebody.
I guess there's not enough information to know like how long they've been doing it and stuff.
Here's my point. That's neither here. The point is there are rumors that there are more boxes coming. So if I'm a consumer and I see $165, $175 boxes on eBay or on TCG Player, I see Team Covenant with an unlimited supply of boxes, but I want to support my local game store, and I see rumors that there's a reprint, I stop buying boxes just to wait to see if my store gets boxes, right? Like that's just kind of what happens as a consumer, right? Additionally, I think a lot of money right now in Sorcery. is going to singles, especially from the high end side. I have noticed a lot of like the high end alpha foils are basically gone. You can't find stuff right now, and a lot of the whales in the community, the current whales are.
Yeah, I don't care about that though. I'm talking about like the accessible, the product that's meant to be just sold and played with. Like that's what I care about.
Yeah. So the big problem here is like stores don't have product to grow the game.
Right.
So there's no ability for a store to grow the game right now because there's no product. I mean, I'm running a big event. Shout out to it's Pump It. We got Pump It at some point. I have actual info now, and George isn't here to like yell at me while I'm pulling it up and make.
I am still here to yell at you for holding this in Baltimore. I think one of the comments in the comment section last week was like, "Will get carjacked in Baltimore. Can confirm." Like.
The Cortesian Cup, we're calling this the Spring Sorcery Social now too. It's June 14th to 16th in Baltimore. Super excited for the East Coast to have a really cool large scale event. The big thing is the Cortesian Cup. I can't pronounce that word. Alpha foil, quarters and thias, Parmesan cheese for the big winner, and a bunch of other stuff. My event is going to be in the comment section below. I'm making it free, Josh. I was going to charge and do a whole thing, and then I don't know, I just decided to make it free. So we're doing it for free so that more people can come. Yeah, it's going to be cool. So it's on that link's wrong. But it's on the 19th, or sorry, the 9th, March 9th. It'll be in West Virginia. It'll be completely free. Pumped, baby. It's going to be exciting. I'm excited to hang out with people and to see people hanging out and coming to play. And we're giving away the winner is going to get a alpha foil Pact with the Devil, which is like a $750 card. So
that's kind of dope.
Really cool. And then we got a bunch of other prize support. But here's my point. So like for this event, this is frustrating as a store owner. I won't have any product to sell.
Yeah,
like I won't have product in my store. Right. If I have product in my store at this event, my understanding, unless we do get a restock before the event, which who knows, that product will come from probably Team Covenant, and I'll probably have to sell it for I don't know $200 box, something like that. Like that'll be what I have to do if I want to have product in the store.
Sure.
And so a store who maybe doesn't care as much about the game as I do. Obviously, I care a ton about the game, so. This is what it is. It's just what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a free event. I'm going to have people. I might have product. I might not have product. The goal for me is like grow the community because I have a YouTube channel and I care about the game. Like that's the win for me, right?
Yep.
That's not every other store. That's no other store. For your average store, why host an event right now if you don't have product? Like if you don't have the and this is where I think there's box sales has slowed down. That's because the game is growing in a different way right now. It's growing deeper. I think like the people who are involved in the game are becoming more involved in the game. I think like people who were just collectors, I've seen a lot of people hopping in and playing and excited about that kind of stuff. But from a growth standpoint, the width of the game just can't grow right now because stores don't have product to be incentivized to host events. And that will or will not change in the future. So that's why I think we're seeing slow in box prices. And I think some of that stuff does get solved eventually. Arthurian Legends will create more hype and excitement for the game. Rudy's bundle is gonna produce some excitement for the game. All that stuff's good.
With the promo that's more nude than the last nude. It's nudier.
Eventually, she's just a skeleton. She starts off with a bra. She goes naked. Eventually, her skin's gone.
Her skin is gone. It's just muscular tissue.
It's the full nudity of a skeleton. And Rudy's like, Magic the Gathering would never do this. They would not.
I love him, dude. Every time he pumps him, I was like, how much more nude than nude can you get?
Dude, you're not going to believe what's on it, man. Dude, you're not going to believe what's on it.
It's so nude. It's so much more nuder than the last nude. It's crazy.
I love the female body. I wish I loved it as much as Rudy does.
Random shout out in the podcast. Good for you, bud. Hey, hey,
I'm fully confident in my love of the female body. Nowhere near Rudy's love for the female body.
This is a wild direction. It's a wild direction. No, this is.
Do you see what I'm saying about like the demand though?
I do, but the thing that scares me about that situation, and I say this as someone who wants sorcery to succeed.
Sure.
What scares me is not only does this go against the grain for the way your average trading card game consumer has been trained. And yes, this is marketed to someone who's like, I don't like the training model. 10 sets a year, not my bag. I have always argued, and probably will always argue, that even those people, aside from the 3 that posted in the comment section on YouTube videos, are like, I'd probably like more than one, though. And while those hooks and the interest in the game and the roots of the game may grow deeper, we've often talked about the idea that, like, listen, man, most of the people involved in this stuff are to some extent adults, and life and things happen. And even if the game has a 100% interest rate and nobody loses interest, you will lose players and people to life and the world around them. So while the game is not growing wide, as you put it right now, I believe it needs to. Indie TCGs, especially those looking to build a relationship and the nostalgia and the love for a product that's currently missing in something like Magic, have to expose themselves, nudity shout out, nudity callback, to as many people as possible. And when you don't do that as much, you might build a dedicated fan base, but you lose the ability to get more people on the hook and have the chance to bring them in now or in the future to then grow those deep roots. So it's something that's interesting. It's something I want to see. Again, I want to see it work out, but this is my fear. And the solution to that, like, listen, you want boxes, but at the same time, like, part of indie TCGs is the value of the product can't tank. Like, we've seen games, they produce a product and none of their products will sell at whatever their minimum, like, you can't sell below this line, and they can't sell the products even at that line, and that's not good for that game. So Sorcery's doing a good job, like, keeping that line.
Right,
but
like
you have to find
a mass restock right now would crush the Sorcery market.
Right, but you have to find a way to keep that line and still find a way to grow. Here's the hard part. I don't know how to do it. Right. I don't know, but you have to find a way to do it.
So I think this is like one of those weird spots for Sorcery, right? Where, again, I go back to, they are so different than your average indie TCG because of the team behind it.
Because they haven't banned us.
No, because dude, frankly, like, I don't want to be that overt about it, but like, because they have money. The average indie TCG creator, it is backed. Yeah. The average indie TCG game is like fighting paycheck to paycheck and can't pay their artists and can't pay their employees. Like, that is who they are competing with. I mean, they're competing with Magic. They're competing with. I agree with. They're competing with
everyone in the TCG space, but like, they're on the same level as that. Yeah, I got you.
And so, like, for Sorcery, it's never been done before, but hypothetically, you could tell me a scenario where you have these sets once or twice a year, you slowly build a dedicated following, and then you can start ramping up stuff as they get more efficient. We talked about efficiency, and I mean, they talked about efficiency in their last interview with Simon and Eric, where they get more efficient. All of a sudden, you can start doing 2 sets a year. And then that starts growing, and as you grow wide, you already have this depth of community that really cares about your stuff, and so you could tell me a story where this all works out. I think
you 100% could.
I think a lot of what you are seeing on the market in the TCG player sales is that kind of gravitas to listen. Like, you can get on Discord and Facebook right now and complete your set without going to TCG player and buying more boxes. Like, there's plenty of ways to get cards.
But you've called this the best box opening experience you've ever had. And as someone who I rip tons of Sorcery for channel members, and I literally sat there with those videos. I sat there with a giant smile on my face the whole time. It was almost embarrassing to watch them back. I was like, I look like a giddy idiot. Like, I had a blast. And it's weird to not have that function of the game be so front and center right now. That's it's missing.
So, like, my response is a lot of people are still opening alpha. Like, a lot of those people who want to have the best box opening experience of their life are still spending stupid amounts of money on alpha. When I do my alpha streams, the packs sell out at $40 to $35, $40 a pack. They're selling out like
now this is the Magic argument. The collector booster box for Lord of the Rings was too expensive because it's still $410 right now. But a pack at $40 is attainable, and there's some crazy stuff in there. I'll buy that because I have $40 in my pocket, right?
Right, but like, my point is, like, people aren't not opening product. It's frankly, I think beta.
I thought George was out this week. I never said people aren't opening product. It's not happening in a large enough quantity or meaningful enough way with beta. I said nothing about
beta.
alpha.
Okay, that's fair.
I said nothing.
And my point is, like, I think beta.
I don't think your average person who's looking to get into Sorcery or has bought 2 beta boxes has now gone and spent $1,000 on an alpha box. Like, unless Sorcery is the richest community ever, and it's only made of 12 people. Like,
definitely not your average person, but you can tell me. I mean,
I care about the average person looking to engage with the game. The people that are wanting to spend $1,000 on an alpha box are in. I don't care about you. You're in, baby.
Hold on, boo boo. There it is. We haven't had it yet. There
you go. Gotcha.
I think your average Sorcery person still looks way different than your average TCG person. Like, we're not in the place with Sorcery where your average Sorcery player or your average Sorcery enthusiast is not. I gotta use words that you understand. Your average Sorcery enthusiast is not.
You think the average person's buying an alpha box, so your $1,000 bill is not something I understand.
But I still don't think that the average Sorcery consumer is a Sorcery player first. Like, I still don't think we're there. Like, I still think in this world right now, your average Sorcery consumer is somebody that really likes collecting, really likes the art, and playing is like a second thing for them. I mean, frankly, that's where I am. I'm
never said it was a player. Agree with that take 100%.
So my point is, you are expecting a average experience right now from a consumer perspective and looking at the data, but that's just not where Sorcery is. Now, don't get me wrong. I think we will get there. Like, I do. What?
I don't understand how you just went from it's the A to B there that confuses me. I expect an average experience for a consumer. The average consumer is not a player; they're a collector. Mm-hmm. I agree with both of those takes, but what I expect is not that your average person is a player and that they buy 1 million boxes. I expect that these products continue to trickle out as your average person engaged with Sorcery is someone who is a collector. They like the arts. They love opening the packs. And if that is your average person, then they're buying the booster box. Why? Because it's $160 for the best box opening experience and to add to their collection. There's something there that's missing. They're not building it to fill out their deck. That's why they're buying singles.
If 10 people were doing that and 10 of them bought a box on release in October or whatever it was, and then 5 of them were like, I want to do it again in November, and like 2 of them were like, okay, I want to do it again in December, and now one of them's like, okay, I want to do it again in January. Like,
That's not a sustainable model.
I agree with you. Yeah, that's not a sustainable model if you need money now. If you're sorcerer and you need money now,
It's also not a sustainable model to grow the game, because now I can't spread that passion to you because there's not enough people around. Like, listen, we want to be part of the crowd. There's not enough. If I'm from 10 to 1 person 3 months later, there's not enough people doing it.
But those 10 people I'm saying are still engaged. They're still collecting. They're just buying singles or they're trading cards on Facebook. I mean, not all of them. I'm sure some of them disappear, but they're still engaging in the community. They're just not buying beta boxes on TCG Player or
and
wherever.
some of them disappear, but some of them don't disappear and don't come back, and not enough new people are coming in that scenario.
Yeah, and the question I think that really matters is like, is there a place and is there enough places in communities where somebody who was in those 10 people can invite their 2 friends
is constantly trying to
and play and buy product and listen? Like, it is a hard sell. Like, I know this sounds crazy. It's 2024. But it's much harder to be like, hey, man, you should try this game out. Why don't you order a box from this website? Compared to, hey, I'm in an LGS and I'm teaching you this game. There's a booster box on the shelf. Why don't we crack a box open together? Like that, like having the product right in front of you to pick up and to buy, like, is so much easier to convert a seller or buyer than like go to the website and order a box. And like that is, in my opinion, what Sorcery is missing right now on the width. But I have to just my response to myself to that is like, we've never seen this before. Maybe
your response to yourself has to be at the same time, just like we talked about. You can't print because the width is so long. You can't just print that sustainable amount of product, throw it in the hands of game store owners, most of which, to your admission in our conversation, don't just love Sorcery. They're not just going to keep it on their and be like, hey, I'm only selling 6 boxes a week to keep things stable here. Why? Because I love Sorcery. They're not doing that. They're like, I can make 20 bucks a box selling at way low prices. Screw you all. I'm selling it all. Right. There has to be a fix to that model. Listen, and maybe it's release products to game stores. Every game store, your game store gets 40 boxes. And that's what you get and you won't throw a fit. Like maybe it's something like that. And it happens throughout the year and there is no big release.
Maybe it's like the product lowers in value and then they release more, and then the demand isn't there for stores to take the easy flip, but there's not that much product, right? Like,
the thing with the indie TCGs is even like selling at your MSRP is still like, if you're a Magic store and you've been beaten down by Wizards of the Coast, you see a Sorcery box and below whatever the suggested price, I don't know what model they use, I don't put words in their company's mouth, but like I can make 40 bucks on a box. Oh, I'm selling all of this.
Right.
Wizards of the Coast hits me every day. I'm selling as much of this as I can.
Yeah. I don't know. I frankly, like, I need more beta boxes. I'm just frankly waiting to see if there's a restock or not. Like, I'm still in limbo on that.
That's such a balancing act. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think you feel the same way. I don't envy that position. Trying to find a way to balance this and make that decision so like, that it can meaningfully grow.
I wish that communicated better to stores, especially to like innkeepers, right? Like an innkeeper who's been involved since the beginning and whatever.
You can't communicate that to a store because then it's communicated to everybody.
Yeah, but I mean, like, listen, if beta is out, it's not because it's at TC.
But what if that decision's not made?
Yeah.
What if that decision's not made?
That's her.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's one of the benefits of having a year-long runway.
Yeah.
You don't have to make that decision today, theoretically, right?
Yeah, you could just kind of delay it.
Yeah. Do you think if there's a meaningful reprint, if there's a meaningful reprint at the game store level, not at the Rudy gets how many boxes, not at Team Covenant is working out of the Sorcery warehouse, if there's a meaningful reprint at the game store level, do you think the game experiences another boom? Because make no bones about it, Sorcery boomed on release. Absolutely boomed. Do you think a meaningful reprint rebooms the game, or do you think it has a inverse effect?
I think to grow the width of the game, the best option would be to do, like, I've said this number a lot, maybe the number changes, but 15% of what you had on beta through distro. Mm-hmm. So if distro got If distro got 10,000 boxes, distro gets 15,000 boxes, and it's scaled to every store.
Boxes.
50, yeah. So if my store got 100 boxes, my store's going to get 15 boxes on the restock. Right. And on the announcement of that, you say, this is the last wave. Like, this is the beta wave. This is the last...
you don't do that. Don't do that part.
Well, like, because here's the balance you have to have. If you just restock it and you don't say a percentage and you just throw all the boxes onto the market, then everything's going to crash. You don't communicate that to your...
But what if I can find a way to give you stores that want to sell sorcery in store? You get 10 boxes a month, right?
That's just not how distro works. I think that's great if you have a warehouse that can ship that without dealing with the drama of distro favoritism and distro not wanting to hold boxes, and like distro's frankly, distro's a big issue in this. But
buddy, I hear you. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying that we know how to do it.
Listen,
but if you can find a way to deliver an amount of stock to a game store where it's like it's enough to satiate the player base, and then that little bit extra for the bring two friends. You know what I mean? And you can balance that model out.
This is the hottest take I've ever had on the podcast. I'm going to get legit in trouble for saying this.
Well, then don't say it.
Great. You got to go One Piece. Like, One Piece is such a funny example because One Piece is only at the 2 distros that no store is at. So if you're a store who wants to sell One Piece, you have to like go through all these motions. Like, nobody's at these 2 distros. So you have to like sign the form. You have to do your stupid video and walk around the store. You have to send your pictures of all your stuff. You have to like find your sales tax number and your form. You have to like do all this work.
Wait, hold on. Finding your EIN is not that big of a deal. Like that, the rest of your examples were great. That's a terrible example.
You have to do all this work to then
sign your name.
Then start a new relationship with a new rep who only wants you to buy Pokemon and Magic, right? Because nobody buys Pokemon and Magic from these distros because they can get it cheaper from the other 2 distros. And then you can get One Piece boxes, which is like great. But you're also starting fresh. So if Sorcery just went to these 2 distros that nobody has, then they could restock. But the only stores that could get it were the stores that actually wanted to do the work to host the events and to great. That would be the ideal world.
I see what's going on here.
Like, that would be the ideal world.
Now that you already have the relationship with those 2 distros, you'd have a head start and a leg up. I see what's going on here. I see what's happening.
The second option, which is frankly probably gonna get me in more trouble, is to just forget distro altogether and just have a warehouse in West Virginia. I don't know.
You're fine, dude. Nobody watches this podcast. It's just you, me, and 3,000 of our closest friends. You're okay.
Just have a warehouse somewhere in the States and pay a person to be your distro for your game to the 50, 60, 70, 100 stores across the country. And like, I don't know what the distro fee is, but I'm sure you can make the money back by just having by cutting out the middleman. Like, distro seems so unnecessary for indie TCGs. I'm sorry, I'll say it. If you have money and you're an indie TCG, distro seems so unnecessary to me. The shenanigans that happens at distro, oh, it's wild, dude. It's wild. It's wild. So
you really are. You're going scorched earth here.
No, what? I'm not. I'm just saying, like, I don't understand, like, all these new games. Like, let's use a game we never talk about. Oh man, I even forget its name. Let's pretend it's Argent Saga, because that one's actually dead, like the rest of them. That's good. Let's pretend it's Argent Saga, which died a long time ago, right?
Yeah, not a thing anymore. You're fine.
If Argent Saga was a game today and they had a new set coming out next week, the only thing distro would do is send me an email that's like, hey, this is the releases next month. Let me know what your order is. And I would see Argent Saga on that, and then I'd look at Pokemon and be like, crap, it's time to order more Pokemon. Like that's like, I wouldn't think about Argent Saga.
Think, what's that? What's that?
what these games think that the distro is doing is like every rep is like, hey dude, there's a really great game out called Argent Saga. You should play it because it has a really great new mechanic that you just like. That's just not like, that's just not the reality of what this is.
No, and you don't make your car salesman doesn't make their monthly paycheck based on the most niche car that it might be really great, but only 10 people buy it. No, they sell 100,000 Toyota Camrys and ride off into the sunset.
Stores buy indie. This is off the cuff, right? Stores buy indie TCGs for 3 reasons. Okay. Number one,
is it money, pesos, and dollarinos?
No, because I frankly I think that there's like money that they don't notice. Number one is eyeballs. They see a content creator, Rudy, right? Like Rudy's big thing for indie TCGs.
You. Just come on, just
frankly,
say you.
Frankly, Rudy's big thing for indie TCGs is that Rudy's probably every LGS in America probably watches Rudy. I would guess 80% of LGS owners who actually like care.
I want to push back on that take, but I think it's probably close. That's
half of them probably. I mean, obviously they got him banned from Fab, right? Like half of them probably hate him. Half of them probably hate him, but like
Jesus.
But they all watch him, and so when he talks about a game, at least it's on his radar. It's on their radar.
When do you think you crossed the line, the Rudy median, where you're like, I love Rudy, I'm starting a game store, I'm listening to everything he says. What's he talking about? I hate this guy. I'm reporting him to LSS. Like, where do you think you crossed the Rudy median?
I certainly feel this on my channel in a much lesser way, right? Like a lot of the people who watch my channel are store owners. Like that. Yeah. I get that all the time. Like that's what I talk about. So that's what my people like, right? Like, and so like the number one reason stores buy new card games is because of content creators. I firmly believe that. The number 2 reason is because other people watch content creators and then go into the store and say, hey, will you order me some Argent Saga? And
that might be number 1. That might be number 1.
Yeah, it sure might be. Yeah, it's probably close. Your consumer goes in and says, will you order this? And you say, are you going to come to events? And they say, yeah, I'll be at every event and I'll champion for you. And then you buy the cards and then they don't show up to the events and they just sit at home and they wonder why nobody ever shows up to events, right? Like that's the second reason. And then the third reason is attendees. Like they find out for some reason that there's money to be made, but the first reason should be the distro, and that's just not the way it is. And so all this to say, frankly, like Sorcery should come up with a new solution for this. Like they should put the energy, they should create a system for distribution to the stores who want to carry their game. They should have
I want to caution you, just as someone who has to have a job. Listen, I don't have millions of views on my shorts. I have to have a job. And because
it's so sad, my views have dropped. That one that hit 9 million views is not pumping out the views that it was because everybody in the world saw it.
I had a mini pump.
Nice.
I had a mini pump, dude. I had a couple days where I was like, what is going on? What's happening to the channel? Ooh,
my dopamine level in my brain is now just conducive to when one of my shorts is going to pump again. Like that's the only thing that matters in my life.
My short, I know my shorts are never going to pump, so I don't have to have that. There's no expectation, so it's very freeing. I felt that way
for a long time, and then it happened, and now it's like, I'm like a 40.
Listen, I got featured. My data was featured on another YouTube channel, and I was in my basement.
That's like a real YouTube channel.
I was like this. I was like, and not only that, but I like both those guys too. So it was like a YouTube channel I like. So I was like.
What did your conversation with your wife sound like when that happened?
She has no idea. She would not care. No.
Yeah, well, that's like I'm like, honey, my video got a lot of views. And she's like, oh, that's really great, honey.
I was like, I don't know what's happening in the last 7 days, but the views on the channel are just pumping. And she goes, that's great. And then I was like, no, I've worked for like a year for this.
Let me, don't get me wrong. My wife, very happy for me. Very
yes.
That
100%.
I want to make sure this is said.
I get great head pat. Like, good job.
My wife let me quit my job to trade cards.
Oh, she did not. Not for me. not for me.
So like I have the full vast support of my wife in my life. She just doesn't get it. Like that's the problem. She just doesn't get it, which is not her fault.
My wife doesn't. She's like, I don't understand why you care about this so much. I'm like, I don't know either. It's because it's a drug and I'm addicted. It's I have
Onward
a problem.
to your point about why I was wrong.
I honestly
This should just be a
forgot what I was
sorcery
saying.
podcast. This is way more fun than the magic side.
I disagree. I had so much. You wanted to dig into spoilers for Magic, but then you didn't want to talk about the spoilers for Magic.
You wanted to talk about Assassin's Trophy, which isn't even like it's already been out. Yeah, it's a great card. Woo!
They printed the best counterspell that they've printed in years.
It's already a card.
No, it's not. That card is not a card.
New?
What?
That's your fault. You didn't tell me it was a new card. That's on you. That's on you. I thought it was a reprint. That's on you. That's on you. I'm hands off, baby. I'm hands off. I didn't know it was I thought it was a reprint.
You know what? I need George to come back so another person on this podcast knows Magic singles and the player's landscape like he does.
That's on you. That's on you.
What I'm saying is
a
lot of that's not why you're wrong. A lot of your takes lean on this, like Sorcery is backed by all this money, and like they don't have the concern of the bottom line and the paycheck to paycheck that a lot of these other indies do. I can tell you, as somebody who works for a company that made, let's call it 10, because it's not that, it's wildly more, but let's call it $10 million. We made $10 million last year, and we have 11 employees, and our profit is in this model more than $8 million.
Okay.
We missed our projections by $2 million.
Sure.
There was fear that people were going to be let go. We've seen this at Wizards of the Coast. I'm not saying that's how these indie companies will be run, but there is a level in between that craziness and the paycheck to paycheck where it's like, we're not making money. Our burn through rate, we're not going to go out of business in the next 20 years. But if I'm putting this much time and effort in this, I'd like to see this line grow. That will happen. That will happen. It's a passion project. However, it's also a company. It's also a business. So your solution with, you need to figure this part, you need to hire someone to do this. A lot of that is not attainable. That can't be done, right? Because sooner or later, that model will either become unsustainable or someone will decide that it goes away.
Well, like, what do your employees in your warehouse do for the other 11 months a year that you don't have a release? Right.
Right.
Like that's like the easiest counter argument to what I say.
And that's why this is not a you're wrong statement. It's just that the solutions to these things are far more nuanced than you and I can probably solve on a podcast.
My point is that like there are other ways to do it. They just have to be creative and figure it out.
Straight to consumer Kickstarter game.
Frankly, like this is where I am with Sorcery. There's not a team better suited to figure that out than Simon and then the Sorcery team. And like this is where I am on. I've told you, I don't think I've said this publicly. This is my last indie TCG. This is the last non-Magic Pokemon TCG that I love and care about.
I have said that publicly, and this is to all the people. Every time I push back or present a counterpoint for Sorcery, everyone's like, Josh doesn't love Sorcery. I absolutely do.
Yeah, you do.
I want to see it succeed. Not only that, I like the people involved in Sorcery, but I have said it publicly. Indie TCGs have pretty well died for me. Yeah. Like this is guaranteed my last foray into the indie TCGs. I've been very open about that.
Okay. Last thing about Sorcery. God, I love it. Are you ready for this?
What did you spend money on now?
I got a BGS 10. George said it would never happen.
Oh, you sent us that. That was of all the texts you sent, that was the one I cared about the least. When you submit 1 million cards, one of them's going to be good.
Josh, 700 and what's the actual number? I might be lying to you. Hold on. I got the data right here. I don't have the data. I think it's 500. It's around 500. I did a video on it today. 440. That's the number. 440 alpha foils graded at BGS. How many of them do you think got 10s?
Yours. It was yours.
One.
Yours was
zero other. Like,
yeah.
That's, I didn't send
you
in
sent me the text.
Oh, I'm sorry. Crazy. Anyway, I just wanted, it needs to be said on the podcast.
Not crazy.
I did a whole video on it. What's not crazy?
That's not crazy to me. The statement was always, can the sorcery team produce quality cards? Sorcery team produced cards. Cards got to hands. Cards were quality. The fact that there's a 10, not surprising to me.
I'm saying George was wrong, not that you were wrong. You're fighting me.
No, I'm just saying you're acting like this is this
for.
massive surprise. I'm not surprised.
Well, a 10 is pretty good. Like,
like that's great. I'm super happy for you.
I don't care about that. My point is like a 10, we haven't seen that in a lot of other indie TCGs. The ability to create a card that gets graded by BGS and a 10. We haven't seen it in a lot of other indie TCGs. So
I'm not ready to like pat on the back for card quality that not only did I expect, but then once it came out, they nailed. So like I've already patted you on the back for that, Sorcery. Continued pats. Yeah. Here, now you get rubs. Now you get
go watch my video. If you guys are listening, go watch my video on breaking down the amount of 10s compared to PSA and CGC, because there's a big difference. Like CGC, 90% of the cards got a 10. Now they have 3 different 10s, right? But 90% of the cards, 50% of the cards got the equivalent of what a BGS 9.5 is. It's crazy. Anyway, George was wrong. George was wrong. That's the point. The point is that George was wrong. Stop making me sound like it's bad to say.
No, I'm just kidding. You can make fun of me. I can't throw it back.
No, I like it. I like
punching up to some massive creator now.
That's my love language. Getting made fun of is my love language.
Yeah, I know. I told you I had a rough week and you made fun of my hair.
Did I do that?
No, that was the first insult that came to mind. Okay. Everyone has been all about I almost cut my hair, but I realized my comment section a lot has been about my sudden hair growth. So
the key is just put a hat on and then nobody ever talks about your hair.
No, it compliments about my hair because it's kind of getting there.
You should grow it like way out.
My goal is shoulder length.
Don't do that.
I'm 100% doing that. I'm a software engineer with a job. I don't have to look good.
We are an hour and 41 minutes in, and we have 2 more topics to talk about.
Do we though? Do we though?
Let's skip Lorcana because that one kind of sucked anyway. They didn't really actually have anything to talk about. One Piece.
It's fine. I'll talk about it on my channel because Lorcana gets mad views. No, listen. I'll siphon all the views. Lorcana gets mad views. I'll talk about it on my channel.
All right, great.
It's fine.
One Piece has stated through distro that the in supply cuts for OP6 and 7. So we just had OP5 boxes.
This was crazy.
A box of OP5 are like $270 on TCG Player right now. It just released like 3 days ago. Not 3 days ago. 3 weeks ago. 4 weeks ago. But they're $275 on TCG Player. OP6 and OP7 from distro, we got allocations this week. And they said in the email, due to supply cuts, OP6 and 7, this is your allocation.
Keep going. This is the OP5 data. Keep going.
What's the average box price? I can't see it.
This is just the number of boxes prices. The average cost for a booster box, $157.
Oh, okay. Well, that's way up right now, I think, but I might just be wrong.
I hope it's.
Check the price of it. Check the price of it.
I'll do it. Keep going. Keep going.
So
stop getting distracted.
Absolutely wild, and this is going to be crazy for the One Piece box price. You're going to see OP6 if this is true. I have a hypothesis, but if this is true, you're going to see OP6 come out at $300 a box. I mean, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be absolutely nuts. Really? And there was
$300 a box.
Yeah, there was a lot of rumors that they were going to overprint. And like that they were going to lean into this like heavy supply chain type thing. There's a lot of rumors about that, but this basically squelched those rumors.
Squashed. I think it's just squashed.
Yeah.
This box price is up.
What is it? Was that right? How good am I at I was almost perfect. What did I say? 275?
Yeah, I thought you said 275.
Yeah, dude.
That's up. Look at that. Look at that graph. Look at that.
God, woo! I know my One Piece market so well. I should do a market update every week, baby. This is how much the cards are worth.
By the way, where have those been?
I told you I'm not doing them. I told you I don't have the energy or the time.
You set unrealistic expectations to your viewers, and I'm not okay with that.
I don't even answer your guys' calls anymore because I'm just like, I have
I
too
only
much
call.
going on.
I gotta be honest with you. I only call it of obligation because I talked to George and I'm like, oh, if I don't, Louis gonna complain. So
That's fair. Anyway, OP6 and 7 are gonna be nuts if that's actually true. Now I do have a theory. Now I'm not saying this is my theory. This goes back to conspiracy theory Louis on Twitter.
Time out. You just said the phrase, I do have a theory. Now I'm not saying this is my theory.
I'm not saying I believe in this theory. I'm saying
The theory that you came up with.
so there was a rumor a little while back that two other distros were bidding for the One Piece free Tendy train. And that the contract was up after OP5. The contract for One Piece was up at the distros that it's currently at.
Did that rumor come on this podcast? I thought we talked about this.
We talked about it. Yep.
Okay.
So my hypothesis is that OP6 and 7 will be available potentially through the other distros, and that it's just the distros that got the supply cut and the other distros are getting the boxes, but they haven't announced that yet for whatever reason. Now,
so you think
there's zero evidence to back this up.
You think
maybe
the One Piece train is coming crashing back to the ground?
That would do it. That would do it for sure.
Wow. So as soon as the game is available, like, you know, every other game in America is available, that's what does One Piece in.
I mean, it follows the Lorcana train pretty quickly.
Yeah, because that game didn't die. Yep. It pimped.
Yeah, I know. I'm just joking. I think that could happen. I don't actually think that it does happen. Like, that's not actually, I think frankly, my real take is that they're just leaning into this like scarcity, and like that's just what they want. Like,
Bandai listens to the podcast and they heard me go, Bandai's gonna Bandai. They're like, gosh darn it, no, we're not.
Stop using my noun as a verb.
Oh, we're not. Listen, we're not printing. You know what? OP6, no boxes. No boxes.
But either way, it's gonna be wild. This is gonna be an interesting release. So
if they scale back, like, so then I guess this is Bandaiing in a whole new way. Because now that you've built a game that is arguably the most fun game to play on the market as far as indies are concerned, or new games, or not Magic and Pokemon, the most fun game to play on the market, and you've captured the hearts and mind of Tendy farmers and collectors alike.
Yep.
To crush it all by printing no boxes would be, I guess, a different way that Bandai could Bandai.
The only thing I can think of is like, here's how you sell more Battle Spirit Saga. You lower... This is how you sell Dragon Ball.
That's such a good take.
This is how you sell Dragon Ball and Battle Spirit Saga and Digimon, right?
That's such a good take.
3 games.
That's so good.
Destroy the quantity of One Piece and force your stores to buy the other games in order to get the One Piece, which then sells for $500 a box. I don't know, man. I think I'm a genius.
That's the best conspiracy theory in the history of this podcast. That I want to send you flowers. Like, I want to put you on stage and let you make an acceptance speech. That was amazing.
Then you never have to play the game of how many boxes should we print, because you just don't print. You know that you're not printing nearly enough.
What if they cycle this? What if they only drive you to one game and they just cycle those player bases between these 4 games?
I mean, that's essentially what Bandai does anyway. They just found one that actually pulled people in, and this one. But
well, this one's stuck, and they're not used to it. What they do is they have a script, and it's about this time in the Bandai script that they have to print less boxes or the game's going to go under, and they haven't deviated yet. They're not used to like, oh, wait, people are still buying this game? Huh,
yeah.
Weird.
They're doing
they don't even look at their own sales data. They're like, we know it's bad.
They're doing the opposite of what Rudy told them to do, but doing everything that Rudy tells every other game to do.
Well, that's because we're equal opportunity printers here. when you have genuine demand. Lorcana.
Yeah.
We weren't like, keep the value up, let the train go to the moon. Like, no, print more boxes, you a-holes. Like, what are you doing? Like, this feels like Bandai. It's like, guys, this one's obvious. This is the one everyone gets wrong, but it's like the easiest answer on the test. Everyone likes your game, genuine demand, dedicated sales, consistent player base, print more boxes. Like,
they're not doing it. They're
not a ton more. You don't have to triple the print. You know what? You don't have to print 250,000 boxes.
You don't have to
do that.
Don't
have to do that.
Just print 10, 15%.
You don't have to be that unaware of your surroundings.
You don't have to 10x your previous print run.
You don't have to do that. It was more. But you don't have to do that. You can print just like some more. Like,
that also only includes never mind. All right, let's hit Lorcana real quick. Sophomore albums.
Why would you want to hit a Disney card game? It's so horrible.
You want to talk about it or not? You want to save it for next week?
We can save it for next week. George loves Lorcana. Yeah. You know what? Maybe that's our little shout out to George.
Yeah. Shout out to George.
We've dunked on him a couple times.
Go watch Josh's channel, though, where he will do a video about the Floodborn sales data and the sophomore album of Lorcana. And go subscribe to his channel membership.
Just subscribe to the channel. Just hit the sub button, because I'm going to 8K now. We were close for a while. You suck. Yeah, your success is crushing me spiritually. So I want to get to 8K. Let's go.
It's just the shorts. So it's not me. I had this conversation with somebody yesterday. The best thing on my channel is the thing that I'm not in. The thing that's made my channel grow, and I can't believe George hasn't said this. The thing that's made my channel grow is the thing that I'm never. It's just my hand. You see my thumb. You're just like, you got a
great hand, though. Baby. You got a great thumb. Yeah. It's a thumbnail.
Yeah. It's a thumbnail.
Best one on your channel.
I want to make fun of myself before the end of the podcast. So it snowed here, right? Like lots of pretty good snow.
Don't even talk to me.
Yeah, for West Virginia, lots of snow. It's Monday night. We're at the shop. Nobody showed up for pop-up, but we had our 3 pods of Commander hanging out. Everyone's talking about how they can't go anywhere because there's snow, and I'm just being that guy in the room, right? Like, oh, this whole state can't drive in the snow. You guys are blah, blah, blah. I grew up in Northeast Ohio. This is nothing. It's just a constant me bickering and badgering people who
it's a good take.
Can't drive in the snow. They don't know what to do. So then I decide to go do donuts in the parking lot when we close because, there's stuff out there.
You're culturally obligated. You're a Midwest guy and it has snowed.
Empty parking lot.
Problems.
Empty parking lot. Late at night.
100%.
100%. Well, I go do a donut and I get a flat tire. So just couldn't resist the urge. Get a flat tire.
Why do you have the one piece of trucks?
No, exactly.
Just when things were going so well, you blew a tire.
Anyway. Hey, if you guys want to talk about all things, head on over to KitchenTableTCG.com and join the Discord server. It's completely free now to be a part of. There are tiers that you can then pay to be a supporter if you want to, but it is all the info and stuff is there. Go join the Discord server. Come hang out with us, chat in the server. And then if you want to chat in the May the Zuby with you section or do other things, get discounts and stuff, you can become a Blue Wizard. Blue Wizards, $5 a month.
Why did you change the names?
For my patron?
Yeah.
Because I wanted to have a legacy role for the people who were around before I made the transition to Discord.
Legacy!
So that was a big reason. And then I thought the idea of having different wizards in the server was cool. I kind of got RuneScape-esque with it. You had the red wizard and the blue wizard and the gold wizard. I don't know. I
realized I think I'm a patron of yours.
Nice. I
think I'm a legitimate.
Yeah. I should probably join the channel memberships. I used to be a patron of yours, but then didn't you close that, or am I still a patron of yours?
You're not a patron of mine.
I was. I think you canceled them.
I think you meant to be.
No, I was definitely a patron. I was a patron of all the channels.
That's a mistake. 100%. That's a lot of money you probably want back.
Still patron, and you don't know. That's I
could believe that. I could believe that.
That's my.
That might be true. I migrated.
Go watch Josh's channel. I just looked at the wrong camera. I looked at my camera that's all the way up there. Go watch Josh's channel.
We've pumped it up enough, but end this podcast.
May the zoo be with you. Remember to be kind to the people around you, and may the zoo be with you.
Also with you, bud.